my fellow Eternians. As always, it is me, Emperor AP, and today we are going to be talking about micronation governments and you. Whether you're somebody who runs a micronation, whether you're somebody who is interested in joining a micronation, or whether you have no idea what a micronation is, I am excited to talk to you about what micronations are, and in particular, how their governments run and how that benefits the people who are involved with micronations. We've been a micronation for over 7 years now, and we've learned a lot in that time. So that being the case, as we continue to grow and continue to look for other people to join the Empire of Aeternia and to try to figure out how we can assist those people and make it worthwhile for them to even consider being a part of us, it is absolutely essential that we share those resources with you guys. You know, what we've learned over the years is important to pass on so you don't make our mistakes, and as well so that people have more of an education and understanding about what it is that micronations are pitching and offering in such a chaotic and politically divisive time such as this. So again, one note, one disclaimer here: not all micronations are cut from the same cloth. They're not the same things. Micronations in general are united by the idea that they all want to create an independent nation. They all see themselves and recognize themselves as an independent entity, whether more seriously or less seriously. And they ultimately are trying to, a lot of the time, make connections with other nations. That's not always the case, but many times they are trying to increase their credibility and their reputation, not only saying we recognize ourselves, the Empire of Aeternia, as a nation unlike different from no different from any other, but we're also going beyond that and trying to reach out to other nations and other states and other groups around the world saying, hey, do you recognize us? Do you see what we're doing? And can we have your support? So that takes a lot. There is a whole process of building and developing a society in that. And a lot of people, when they develop micronations, simply write down their hopes and wishes for it and write down a constitution and a flag and, the name of the nation and get through those basics, kind of check off the list of the Montevideo Convention, and leave it at that. And so what is it that we can actually do to go beyond that? And that's been probably for the past year what we've really started focusing on. The Empire of Aeternia has shifted in a lot of ways from initial development stuff, just trying to get started, trying to understand who we are. And now that we're more confident in that, actually pushing forward and saying, so what are we going to do about that? How do we start making money? How do we start growing ourselves to the point of being able to establish more direct and repetitive contact with other nations? How do we start recruiting people locally and developing something that we can be proud of here and that helps people here? And that has been, again, a years long effort. So it's great to see everybody tonight. Thank you for joining us in the live stream. And while we're going to be talking about a lot of things and hanging out with everybody in the comments, I want to stress that that is the theme of tonight. That's what we're going to be talking about. So if you have particular questions about micronational governments and development, definitely try and gear the conversation toward that tonight, if at all possible, because those are going to be the comments I really want to focus on. But it is good to see everybody. Kingdom of Kushti, great to see you, Taco Toli. I'm excited to continue our conversation. Gen Z, great to see you. Gen Z Remnant says, I hope you're okay. Was it an upper EF tornado? I'm not sure what you're referring to. We did have some inclement weather warnings here. In fact, I will bring up, we are actually experiencing some kind of rough weather. Right now it's just thundering here, so it's not, a super dangerous situation where we are at. But yes, the surrounding areas, the greater state of Alabama has had some inclement weather, and as well, I think, kind of the southeast is getting it. So good to see you guys. Oswania, great to see you. Holy Messianic, good to see you. Master Dionite, hey, great to see you as well. Master Dionite, we're talking. Master Dionite and I were talking in the Discord about how our classes were going and kind of the fact that Master Dionite's going for 2 bachelors and and associates, so congratulations. We just finished our semester as well, Tiffany and I, so that is a huge relief off of our shoulders. We're going to be jumping right back in next semester, so we just have a few weeks to really gather our things, start doing some in the break, and then having to hunker back down again, excuse me, for the next semester. But that being the case, all of this goes into time management. All of this goes into specifically what it is that you do to structure and develop a nation, and how you work when things don't go according to plan. So that's really where the government aspect of a micronation comes in. There is the creation of laws, there is the upholding of rights, there is the declaration of sovereignty, and there is all these things that governments in micronations do, governments around the world do. But we think of those things as kind of the job of a government. And overall, the job of a government is to oversee the ultimate goals of the nation. And so that sounds like a simple definition, but depending on what your nation is actually about, what its purpose is, will have radically different designs as to what that government's power and purpose is, how it ends up acting and behaving as sort of a carrier of the nation's will. And so that is very, very difficult to develop. Governments for micronations are a tool that is refined and harnessed to be able to give it the most authority it can have, and to give it the most opportunity it can have to keep developing. So for us, for example, in the Empire of Aeternia, for years, we were trying to figure out how to develop a government. We didn't end up developing one for a long time because we felt like we were having all of these headaches and all of these difficulties just getting things stable. And then we met a good few people, to name two of them that helped me start the initial government for the Empire of Aeternia. We have, of course, Gray Mayor of the House of Others, who is no longer with us as a citizen. And we have Master Stephen Vince, the Master of the House of Treasure, the first ever and still current Master of the House of Treasure. So again, two wonderful people who helped us to develop that initial government and start to not only take some weight off of my shoulders from trying to run things and manage things in the empire, but also allowed us to expand and to become more efficient in ways that I could not have predicted. So these people not only helped us to achieve more, but actually taught me about structuring the nation, about what goals are most important, by opening up that access to us, by taking on a multi-point attack on our goals, to where it's not just me trying to work on one thing and work on one thing and work on one thing until I get to a stopping point and then shift to another one. It was three people, each individually working on different sections of our goals, and it worked. It helped us. Now, that, of course, had its own flaws and difficulties. When you try and grow a government, you're going to have disagreements with people. You're going to have different visions of what needs to be accomplished first. You're going to have misunderstandings about the overall ideas that you're working with, or about the resources that you have. And so all of those things are incredibly tough to deal with, and they are part of that learning process. Micronations shouldn't necessarily jump into developing governments, because many micronations aren't ready for having full-fledged governments. They take a lot of time and resources. They're expensive to a nation. And so if you're a small nation who's just trying to figure things out and get things started, you may be better off just as, kind of a monarchy, a dictatorship, just running things directly like that. And while there are plenty of micronations with governments that are still monarchies and dictatorships and all that, we, for example, in the Empire of Aeternia, are an absolute monarchy, but we do have a government. That has just allowed us to essentially stay a relatively small government, something that is pretty directly run by myself and the people who consider themselves citizens of the empire, the people who have joined ranks and decided to join our government. We work directly with those people to accomplish things, but the brunt of the everyday work is done by myself and by Tiffany and by the occasional citizen here or there when they have time. Our government members as well when they have time. But it is of utmost importance that as we continue to grow, we try to push that. We try to include more people in our government, that we try to stretch our bounds, because even though it's going to be hard and it's going to add more difficulty in the short term, in the long run, it helps us to, again, have that multi-point attack on our problems, trying to be able to tackle things with a larger group effort. And it also gives us the opportunity to refine those things that are going to be the cracks in the system. When you develop a government, when you develop all of these interworking social systems and these hierarchies where all these people who came together as friends and as equal citizens, now one of them is the boss of the other one, and how do you deal with that, and who's appropriate to be assigned to what tasks, and maybe somebody who was in one government position ended up not being appropriately assigned to that government position or elected to a position that may not fit them best, so now that person needs to be retasked to something else. Those things are tough. They're tough conversations. They're not only always going to work out. And sometimes citizenships break off, or societies, micronations even collapse on difficulties like that. So again, it is an at your own risk development, but that tool is a very powerful one if your nation can get to that point. So that's been a huge struggle for the Empire of Aeternia. That's been something that we have been, again, continually developing over the last several years. And have, even to now, have a relatively stable government, but again, a very small government. So developing and growing that is a tricky business, and it's ultimately going to be what your nation needs that is going to decide how that looks in the long run. But that being the case, thank you guys for being here. Please like the video if you feel like this is getting you some valuable information. I see we have 2 likes and 6 viewers. If we can jump that number up, it gets more people into the live stream, which gets more people into the chat, because YouTube says, hey, this one's popular. Let's throw more people in. So I'm going to go ahead and read some comments, and I appreciate you guys being here. As well, I know that was a huge rant, so if you guys have particular questions about, like, what did he just say? I don't understand what he was talking about. Please hit me up, and I will get down to him. Everybody saying hello. Hey, Gen Z said they got a message from another micronation, so they're going to hop off and hop back on. Good to see you. Everybody's jumping on. Ostwania said, to catch you up, AP, there was a tornado emergency close to Ostwania. Oh, goodness. I'm sorry to hear about that. I hope everything's okay. Is everybody okay, first and foremost, and is there any property damage, secondly? Keep us updated. Tornadoes are horrible. Again, we live in the upper part of Alabama, and so there are definitely a lot of tornado issues here. Always crazy weather. Everywhere has crazy weather, but tornadoes in particular as well are pretty bad here. Up north, in the south of Alabama, you have a lot of hurricane problems. So you get it from all fronts. But I hope you're doing well. That is never easy. And especially if it affects you in a major way or affects people that you care about. You know, if you're in a small community there and you get devastated by a tornado, it takes forever to try and recuperate. And many times it doesn't fully take effect. So that's horrible, and I wish you luck. Keep us updated with that. In Clarksville, Tennessee, just north of Nashville. Hey, very cool. We're very close to each other then. That's wonderful. Gen Z Remnant says, I'm back. We were talking about what the government system would look like if we ever got into office. Hey, very cool. Tell me a little bit about that then. That's interesting. You guys are talking about governments, and we're talking about governments. Hey, Ostwani asked how our metals refining industry has been going, our Imperial Metalworks. The Imperial Metalworks are going well. Unfortunately, we have had to shut down the Imperial Metalworks for the rest of the year. So that means, you know, at least through December, we're going to be shutting down production. That's due to upgrades, and that's due to a lack of resources. We really need to buy some more propane, and we want to buy some other equipment to be able to make better products, final products out, and actually to be able to start mass producing things. A lot of things that we've made in the past with our Imperial Metalworks have been things that we've been trying out. So like one-off products. We've made, again, a little hatchet. We've made, of course, our mini ingots. Those are the one thing we can mass produce. If people are trying to buy aluminum ingots or copper ingots. So we have those that are able to be mass produced, but everything else is this like custom artistic item that takes us a long time and a lot of careful planning and ultimately is expensive to produce one. So we're trying to upgrade so that we can start to do a little bit more mass production, and also so that we can get our forge to a hotter temperature, which makes it safer to run for more high melting point metals, and also allows us more free time to work with the metal while it's still liquid. Getting it hotter, it's going to take longer for it to cool down when we pour it, so long as we can keep our molds hot. So all of that is to say it's going well for what we're doing. And what we're doing right now is nothing. So we are putting everything into this upgrade as of right now, completely shutting down, taking the incentive and saying, hey, anything that we could do as of this point, if we buy more propane, we start setting everything up, it's going to be limited and ultimately more expensive than if we just wait for the materials that we're trying to get in, do the upgrade, and then go ahead and use our propane more efficiently. So that is the plan for right now. We are essentially trying to take the things that we have already, that we've made, and turn them into other products. So that has been an interesting thing, going from the metals refining side of the Imperial Metalworks to the actual metal work part of the metalworks, where we're grinding these ingots, we are shaping the metal, we are actually trying different casting and etching techniques. So we're trying to make more art with it effectively. We're trying to make things that you guys might be interested in, so that we can start, again, eventually mass producing coins and metals and all these different things. MED-ALS, like the ones that you would wear on your uniform for a micronation. We're trying to make all those things. So it's slow and it's steady, but we are going from hobby, forge, small individual artistic products to manufacturing center. And that's tough. It's going to take finding the products that you guys like and that other people in our local community like, and trying to tailor ourselves to whatever makes us the most income. But we're trying to go for that mass production. So again, that's a big part of like developing Aeternia, but that has been something that has been entirely unique. Oh goodness, there are cats fighting. Excuse me. That has been entirely unique and separate to the development of our government. So we have all of this other stuff going on, and on top of that, we're trying to like continue to form our government and continue to recruit new citizens, which a whole other objective. So we have the metalworks, we have the citizen recruitment, we have the development of our capital territory, Vitae, which has been its own thing. We've had all of these different aspects of Aeternia that are going on at the same time. Repair of the RV so that we can put it out at Vitae and accomplish another goal. All of these things are incredibly taxing in and of themselves. And when we put that together, we really need a tool like a solid government to be able to streamline all of these efforts and connect the people who can make them happen more quickly. So that all being the case, that's a great question, Aswania. Thank you for asking it. Noble Stan said, we will have a prime minister election soon. That's fantastic. And how strong a role is your prime minister? I have noticed that there are plenty of micronations that have prime minister positions and that have their government structured in that way. And they end up with these parliamentary institutions a lot of the time having their prime minister be effectively a not a dictator, almost a monarch, simply because, again, you're dealing with these micronations that are small, and so they may vote on some issues, but for 90% of the time, the prime minister is just going to be making decisions on behalf of the nation. And then if something comes up, they will set up an election for it after the fact. Or set up a vote for it, in parliament after the fact. There are some micronations that I've seen, though, who are very strict with their parliamentary system. And they say, hey, we have this prime minister, and this prime minister cannot move a muscle until Parliament approves it. So again, two different strategies, two different ideas about what is more important, whether it is adhering to strictness to the moral and ethical code of the the placed government and ultimately what it wants to be culturally and societally, or is it, better to have a more lax, more direct government in order to increase efficiency and to speed up development? They both have their own big costs and big drawbacks. I'm curious to see the strategy of Noblestan. Gen Z says, no AP, not a micronation, a political party in the United Monarchist Party, the United Monarchist Party of America. Hey, AP, out of curiosity, if the U.S. becomes an empire like the United Monarchist Party of America wants, would you try to make Aeternia a country within the new empire, or would you keep going micro? A county within the new empire, would you keep going micro? Well, we are a micronation because of our size and because of our development. I think the purpose of what we're doing is effectively saying we don't feel that the government that we have been born into, whether, for me, that's the United States, in America, that could be for other people who are Aeternian citizens around the world, their own personal macronational governments. But we all have this same belief that our government has not helped us in the ways that we needed. We cannot live the lives that we would like to, or that are important to us, for this very, very short amount of time that we have on the earth. We cannot take that time and use it as we would like to, because there are so many restrictions by our government, because there are so many things that are holding us back. America is considered the land of the free. That is what our slogan is. That's what all of our propaganda, all of our ideas, culturally are about and surrounding, is this idea of our freedoms. And while we say these things are open and allowed, there are definitely heavy regulations that limit people, especially people with lower incomes, from being able to access a lot of their own freedoms, the things that are declared free to them, based on, for example, where they live. On the other hand, there are plenty of situations where the lack of policy, the lack of restriction, just this Wild West sort of mentality, only hurts those in the lower class, allowing wealthier people to be able to dominate and control and abuse poorer people, with poorer people not having any way to retaliate, any way to get justice for themselves, simply because there isn't a law in the books about it. So it is about who can push the most political precedents, most historical precedents, legal precedents, who can try to flex their legal muscles with, lawsuits, contracts, labor negotiations, things like that, which generally are in the hands of those who control corporations, those who are wealthier, those who have more political power and lobbying influence, and things like that. So all of that sucks for people who are not wealthy in the United States, and that's the majority of people, the vast majority. So that being the case, for the Empire of Aeternia, we don't feel like we would then, if the United States suddenly changed governments and set up a completely different rule, I'm not sure that we would trust that. We already are unhappy with the system that we have. And it's not that we want the United States to change into something radically different. In fact, if we thought that there was something that was really concerning to the United States as far as getting completely overthrown or whatever, we would probably help the United States to find some relative stability, because we aren't enemies with the United States at all. We exist inside them, and so their stability is of parallel interest to our own stability. It's hard for us to do well without them being at least stable. And so while that's happening, we would probably hope to keep the United States in as relatively stable a position as possible, and we will always continue to develop as a nation independently. That being the case, it's difficult to say, if there were truly major reforms that happened and people felt comfortable with it long after I pass, sure, maybe Aeternia would be dissolved and people would say, hey, we got the things that we were fighting for. We got the freedoms and the opportunities and the support structure that we were looking for. But with the way that things are going now, and kind of the main goals of the United States and many other countries in mind, I do not think that they will ever really push in that direction, unless just an absolutely major cultural shift happens. And so I think primarily what we're after is trying to provide that support network from the ground up, being able to say, we have a limited amount of people, sure, but we can take care of those people. Those people every day, without question, are fed, are housed, are clothed, have access to basic necessities, showers, things like that. Those people are taken care of without being expected to pay for all of those things. Of course, we won't be able to start it off all at once and say, hey, we're calling the top 10 Aeternian citizens, come here and have all your needs taken care of forever. That obviously is not a stable or sustainable system, but we will start off saying, hey, we've developed these industries, we've done this stuff as we're trying to do now, we have our capital territory that we've developed, and Tiffany and I are moving out to Vitae, hey, we're doing it, we're setting up, and we would do that and set up, and then we would say, hey, now we've been growing a garden for a while, and we have the ability to take care of and offset some of our food costs, and we're using solar panels to offset our electricity costs, and trying to live off the land as much as possible, reduce overall our expenses as much as possible, and then saying, now we're making a little bit of money. Now those businesses that we're investing in, since we've lowered our cost of living so much, are able to be profitable for us. So then we take those investments, we save them up, we try to purchase someone else's way in by way of building them a house and dwelling on Vitae, trying to provide them with access to water and restroom facilities and electricity and all those things that we have, and trying to slowly allow those things to become cost-free for them as well, saying, hey, you can come out here and live for free, but you may have to pay for water and electricity, and you get a cut of the harvest from our garden if you help us work it. And so then, that person has a bonus and an incentive to come and stay in Vitae. And then we can slowly say, hey, now we have enough money. We have, we've improved our solar grid enough that we can take care of our dwelling and your dwelling on our solar grid. So now you don't have to worry about paying an electricity bill. And so then we keep doing that on and on and on, and slowly incrementing, allowing people to say, hey, even though this other country that I was born in did not facilitate all of my needs, did not take care of me in a way that was reasonable, I have this group of friends, I have these people who have done that, and that I do find community with, and that I identify more with them than I do with this general concept of the nation that I was born in. So that's where we're coming from. We're saying, come with your culture, come with your background, come with your nation in mind, and bring that to the Empire of Aeternia. Be a part of who we are and celebrate that, so that we can come together and show that a society that works together for the needs of everyone allows for more opportunity. This isn't something that's radical and brand new, across the world. Other socialist countries, for example, do a lot of these things, providing basic free healthcare, providing free education, providing free subsidized food programs, and things like that, housing for free. These are things we're trying to implement so that we can take care of a population, and that population, as we grow, is able to recognize us independently as their nation. So while they may still have to pay taxes to their larger macronational counterparts, the countries that they come from, we can still develop most of our lives outside of them and continue to push for more and more and more autonomy. So that's the idea. That's the goal. I hope that answers your question. New England says, good afternoon, Your Imperial Majesty. How are you? We're doing well. How about you? We're doing well. I say that as if there's a big group of people behind me. I guess the royal we. The Empire of Aeternia is doing well. I'm doing well. How are you doing? New England. White Wind says, hello, I will be present in just a minute, finishing up some stock market advising for my mother, then I'll be present in the stream. All right, I'm present in the stream. Hey, fantastic. Thanks for joining us, White Wind, and thanks for liking the video if you have. We are talking tonight about governments and trying to discuss what it is the Empire of Aeternia has been up to, for this year and going toward the end of the year. What it is looking like we're going to be moving into next year, and ultimately what it is that we are doing as far as the development of our government. Our government's a tool for developing our nation and expanding it. Excuse me, everybody. Having to take a sip of water. And so that government is going to be pivotal in how quickly Aeternia can develop in all the different areas it needs to. With us developing out at Vitae, trying to get more local citizens so we can start to have residents out there, people who will live with us, people who will eventually, when we can afford to pay those people fair wages, will be able to work for us part-time or full-time. That sort of growth requires us to have a well-funded set of industries. Those well-funded set of industries need labor. So it's kind of a which came first, the chicken or the egg sort of situation. And so a big part of that help has been actually you guys. On Patreon, there are 3 people right now who support us. And those 3 people have managed to get us up to $33 a month. The issue with that is that if any one of those people decides to back out, our value of our Patreon drops significantly. Again, the last person who joined at $15 a month, so their contribution alone doubled effectively our Patreon's value. And so that being the case, we have a wonderful group of people who are supporting us, people who really care about us. But that is something that helps to keep us stable, because with that $33 a month, we can save that over the course of a year and then throw it all toward one project, either offsetting some of the cost of a bigger project that we just have to dump our own personal funds into anyway to make it less of a sore spot for us in developing, or we can invest it and actually create a budget for the year and say, okay, well, these are the things we know that have worked economically. We're going to divide up this amount of the budget toward this and this amount of the budget for this and restocking this. And those are things that, for example, the master of the House of Treasure, Master Stephen Vince, can help us with. Those are things that it behooves us to have this growth of our government developed for. And so those things are very, very important. I want to make that clear. In all of these industries we're trying to develop, and in all of these methods that we're trying to reach out to people, the thing that keeps us most stable right now is our Patreon. And so thank you so much for being a part of our Patreon. If you are, I'll give a shout out real quick. That's Eli Mayer. That is or Ellie Murr. I'm not sure which pronunciation is correct. We also have Eric 24, and we have Gastanova. All of those people, again, amazing contributors. But the next thing that we're going to be doing to try and get ourselves a little bit more stable as we continue to develop our industries. For example, the Imperial Metalworks, the things that we do with melting and refining aluminum and copper and all these things, making products with those sales are nice, but they're very sporadic. We haven't had a ton of sales in those. In fact, for our Etsy, most of our sales have been in non-metal things. So sales of the Imperial Note, our currency, or sales of metals that we made for people's uniforms, like pendants, that we actually created before we had the Imperial Metalworks. So they were things that were created using store-bought products and stuff like that, and assembled ourselves, our own unique design, but still having to take metal pieces and other pieces from other manufacturers, which isn't uniquely Aeternian. It costs us money to do, and it's also not as nice. So those things, even the most successful ones, still very sporadic. We can't really depend on that a ton for our income. And so that being the case, for everything that we need to invest in for Aeternia, the next big push, which has been this way for years, but we're getting up on the precipice of it, is monetization of this channel. Now we are at, I think, now it dropped down to probably, oh goodness, 1740, 1,740 watch time hours. You need a certain number of annual watch time hours, or watch time hours per year, to be able to get monetized on YouTube. And right now that's 4,000. So we've already passed the 1,000 subscriber mark that we need. We're just trying to hit that 4,000. Oh goodness, the cats are fighting again. Calm down. Goodness. So the thing that we're trying to push for is that 4,000 watch time hour mark. Right now, again, we're at 1740, and we're just going to keep trying to tick up, especially as we get breaks like this, to hang out with you guys on live streams and to try to make that push toward 4K. Once we hit 3K, which we're over the halfway mark to get to, we unlock special features like super likes, like you guys being able to do like paid subscriptions to the YouTube channel directly or one-time purchases, able to purchase things from our shop directly through YouTube, a whole bunch of benefits for us, but not quite to ad monetization. Once we hit 4,000, we actually get ad monetization. So right now, if you've seen some of our videos, you've probably seen that they have ads on them. And you may think, oh, cool, Aeternia is getting some ad revenue. No, we are not. YouTube takes 100% of that and is completely fine running ads on every single one of our videos and taking our ad revenue. So if you want to help us to get a little bit of that, when you see us on a live stream, come and hop in and say hi. Definitely give us a like. And then if you haven't been able to watch a live stream in a minute, go check out what our live streams are, our previous videos, and watch through it. The more you watch that video, the more watch time hours we get, the more it helps that number. And eventually we get locked in for monetization. So we're getting closer and closer and closer every time. Last year when we really, not last year, year before last, when we really pushed during the summer, we got to over 3,000 watch time hours, but this was before they had changed the system. So there was no 3,000 watch time hour mark at that time. It was just the 4,000. And so we didn't quite reach it and things fell back down because every day that you don't increase in your viewership, or at least the total for the year, you go behind. So if today we make 10 watch time hours, let's say with this live stream, if we happened to manage 10, normally we're at like 5 to 8 or something like that. But if we got 10 watch time hours on this stream, that would be fantastic. We would then take those 10 watch time hours, and if, oh goodness, this time last year, we had, 20 watch time hours for tomorrow, and then tomorrow we don't stream, we would lose 10 because we gained 10 from today's live stream, but then we lost 10 from the 20 that got subtracted. So we'd be down 10 watch time hours. And so we have to keep working on that and keep pushing it to eventually get to that monetization. But that being the case, I appreciate you guys and just want to show you kind of what that mindset is to slowly getting all of these things in order to be able to like stabilize our economy and improve our investments. The rain is getting rough. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I have the like noise canceling on for this, but it is absolutely howling outside. It's thundering, it's lightning. The rain is hitting very, very hard outside. It is storming. First off, Flores Gaming said, White Wind. Hey, everybody's hanging out. Hype about White Wind. It's good to see you guys. Hey, Flores, it's good to see you. You should definitely subscribe to our channel, and you should also like the video. It helps us out. But we are still continuously sitting in this storm. It's loud. It's very loud. And essentially just I'm trying to, as I talk to you guys and explain all this, wrap my own head around all of these little things that we're trying to click into place. All of those that we just talked about, our Imperial Metalworks, our metals industry, our Etsy shop, trying to make different items and do all that. And then our Patreon, of course, all of those things. Oh, and our YouTube monetization. All of those different things are things that we're trying to do to improve our economy. Those are things that would help us to stabilize. Again, right now with the Patreon being at $33 a month, that's helped us out a little bit. We don't cash that out because it's such a small amount of money. We just want to save it up for months and months and months and months, be able to throw it toward a big project like putting in our driveway, which is about to be potentially thousands of dollars in expense. Hopefully it'll be around $1,000, but it could go all the way up to $2,000, $3,000, depending on the materials and everything that we have to get. That all being the case, we're hopefully going to be putting in that driveway pretty quickly, either this month or next month, with our fingers crossed. So we are actively in the process of doing that. We've gotten approval from the county to put it in. We even had it marked as of the other day. If you check out our most recent video, We actually show footage of the people from the county coming out and marking where our driveway is going to be, which is huge for us. A wonderful, glorious moment. We also got to show you guys a little bit of onions sprouting up at Vitae. We didn't think anything grew this year in our garden, and we had these little tiny onions that had sprouted up despite us not taking care of it at all, despite us basically doing everything we could to kill this garden this year. They survived. They didn't do well. You could harvest all of our onions that grew this year and slice them up thin and try to marinate a steak with them, and you wouldn't even be able to do it. Not one piece of meat. Tiny, tiny little onions. These are green onions. So, you can use parts of the stalk and all that stuff. But I mean, the bulbs were about as big as your fingernail. So they weren't really worth actually harvesting and using, but it was just breathtaking to see that our capital territory actually produced something for us. This was a huge investment for us, and we've been sitting on it for a long time and feeling like we didn't have anything to show for it. And sure enough, that one peeking out of the ground made all the difference for us. So if you haven't checked out our previous video after the live stream, definitely go check it out. We're getting into depth more on these like advanced topics. We're not just talking about developing a micronation in general and how you set up the basics. We're going into the more advanced stuff. And that is like a 15-minute video that's not super edited. A lot of our videos, we've been trying to improve the editing and get crazier with it, but this one is a cut and dry, no nonsense video where I talk for about 15 minutes with a couple of cuts, right at the end, where we're just talking about all of Aeternia's failures this year, talking about all of the problems we've run into, all of the different attempts that we've had at different projects, how they've gone wrong, which things we've had to fix, which things we've had to redo, what we've learned from all that, and ultimately how that's helped us to get to where we are now, getting ready to transition into next year. Of course, it would have been ideal for none of those mistakes to have happened in the first place and for everything to have been perfect right off the bat. But if that were the case, we wouldn't have learned what we did now, and now we feel much more confident and much more resilient to be able to take on next year's goals. Again, as you grow a micronation more and more, you're going to have all of these different pots that you have to have your hand in, all of these different things that you have to be working on at the same time. And if you don't have the people and the finances to be able to support those people to do those jobs, then you're left picking up the pieces. You're left trying to get all these things done. So you want to minimize those projects as much as possible, which is a big thing we learned this year. But still, there are things that have to get done, and you can't minimize it all. So when you're doing those things, what do you look out for? What are the problems that you're going to run into? That's what we talked about. I say, hey, I'm coming clean from my point this year. Here's everything I think we did wrong. Here's all the things that I wish we would have done, and ultimately what we did do to fix those things. So that's what that video was. I hope you guys enjoy that style of it, because again, I feel like I've spoiled you guys with the high quality edit, and it's not high quality editing by all means. You can go and watch another YouTube, and they amazing editing. For us, it's my best efforts at editing right now, trying to get better, trying to be more experimental with it and improve for you guys. But I've been putting a lot of effort into those videos. So this one may come as a shock for anybody who like jumps in without having seen just a like raw Aeternia, no nonsense, no edit video. So I hope you guys like it. That being the case, that's kind of who that's for. If you're a micronationalist who's trying to develop and trying to get beyond we have our constitution, we have our flag, we have our name, we have our coat of arms, we have our government style. This is really going to get you into the weeds of that advanced section. Hey, you're in the thick of it now. You have citizens, you have these things. You're trying to run a nation. You're trying to hold things together. You're trying to improve it. It's a show. It's a story about sitting in the captain's seat, so to speak. So that being the case, it's great to see everybody tonight. Also, we had like 9 viewers for a second. That is crazy for our watch time hours. Again, I said earlier, like hypothetically, what if by some miracle we hit 10 watch time hours tonight? Every minute that you guys are in here, y'all help to boost it up. Y'all really do. If we stayed for a couple hours, we could easily hit 10 watch time hours with you guys hanging out like you are. Right now, if we got off in 15 minutes and left it in an hour, we'd probably have 5 or 6 watch time hours, maybe get into 7. But it wouldn't be great. If we stay for, an hour and a half, an hour, 45 minutes with 9 to 10 viewers, we could end up with that 10 watch time hours. So again, big for helping us to boost and to catch up with everything we've been doing. And again, the liking of this video, I see you guys throwing the hearts. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Shouts out to all the micronations out there that are here and supporting. But that being the case, all of that kind of goes into boosting that number. So the more you guys hang out, the more questions you throw at me, the more I'll stay in here and we can really get things going for our watch time hours, which means monetization, which means stabilization of our economy, which means more that we can do in Vitae, which means more people that we can bring onto the cause, which means more people who are talented who can help us out to produce higher quality videos for you guys, which means the word of the micronational community gets spread to a larger audience, which feeds back into our YouTube channel, which feeds back into the economy, and on and on and on. So you guys are making the difference right here. Okay, so Flores said I'm going to do that right now. Thank you so much, Flores. Also, Flores is going to be one of the people who are really close to getting us to 2,500 subscribers. That's something that not a ton of micronational YouTube channels can really boast. We are among a few now who have over 2,000 subs, and we're about to hit 2,500, which 2,500, I think we're like maybe 12 away. Maybe now with you, Flores, we're at like 11 away, but we are really close to that margin. Once we hit 2,500, we're halfway to 5K, which again, doesn't seem that crazy. But to think about it, Slowjamistan right now, they have had a meteoric rise with their subscriber count, with their X followers and all that. Media in general, they've been the rock stars of the community this year, and I'd say probably last year as well. Huge rising stars. But these guys have around 7,000. I think I may be wrong. I may have to go check because their numbers jump so quick. But whoa, that was thunder. That was very close thunder right there. Oh goodness, I saw it like it was like a play or something, real dramatic, like bang, blue flash of light popping on the wall. I can't see a window right now, so fortunately that'll probably protect me from glass if we did actually get struck by lightning. But it was crazy to see it bounce off the wall like that. Tangent. Slowjamistan has been having an amazing rise. They have been at like 7-something thousand subscribers. So us getting halfway to 5 is big. We are able to, if they can jump so quickly and boost so quickly, we can learn those tactics too, and we can try to improve to be able to get to that level. So, getting 2,500 subscribers, it's a lot easier to get to 5,000 than it was to go from 500 to 1,000. It's a big push, but you guys are helping us to get every video watched more. You guys are helping us to get watch time hours more, which helps us to improve the quality of these videos, like I said. So 13 viewers right now. You guys are helping us to get blowing toward that 10 watch time hour mark for tonight, which will help to scoot us back to what we were. We were at like 1778 or something watch time hours as of like 2 weeks ago. And then because I had final exams and because Aeternia needed all this attention in all these different areas, I had to stop posting. Last week, we didn't post any video at all. And then this week we had to post again, this one that I would have loved to have edited more, but we put out this kind of no nonsense, straight to it video. And I hope it's what you guys want. I hope it's, something that you feel provides that benefit, because we're getting there. We're trying it out. So, Flores says, I'm the Kolia president of the Democratic States of Kalugan Republic, DSKR. Hey, well, welcome. We're glad to have another micronationalist here. Tell us what you think of the channel, and as well, tell us a little bit more about your micronation. Of course, we have a Discord channel where people jump in. A link should be in I didn't post a description for this video yet. I'll have to go in and post a description for this video, and then the link will be in the description for that. But if you join our Discord, or if you have somebody like Whitewind invite you to the Discord, you can hang out, meet new micronationalists, connect with people, and ask questions, which is a big part of boosting these watch time hours. Because I wanted to bring up to you guys, we haven't been able to use the Discord like we want to. The Discord has been an amazing way for us to connect with you guys and everybody else who has learned about us somehow through the micronational community and have connected in the spot. And people have told us this is a great resource for micronations just to be here and talking, not even specifically about Eternia stuff, but just, sharing in this communal aspect of being in the same place. So we really want to do more with that. And at one time, we held a micronational risk tournament where we got other micronationalists to join a live stream that we did where I was on my laptop. And we sent out an invite on Discord to people to play this risk tournament with us. And we got names, we got people, and the winner of it actually got posted on our website. We still have them up right now. I think it's King Michael of Perpetua who won the first ever micronational risk tournament. However, we are now going into, I think we've had 2 micronational risk tournaments actually, but we will now be going into the 3rd, if I am correct on that, micronational risk tournament. So if you guys are interested in participating in that, want to keep the tradition alive, we will be jumping back into doing that after having like a 2-year hiatus on it because we've had terrible internet. We can now achieve that cultural impact again. We can kind of connect with you guys and have an inter-micronational live stream going on. So instead of it just being an interaction with, hey, AP talks about stuff on the channel and you guys send messages and we kind of communicate back and forth through that, we'll actually play together. There will be some stakes. There will be some risks, some reward. This may be something that's valuable for you. If you're somebody who's on our micronational map already, if you're a part of the Eternian community and people kind of check out our site, having your nation's name, on our website is cool. It's a flex. You can say, hey, we're supported by this micronation and we won their risk tournament and we played the game and we're talented. This is one of the things we're known for in the community. It's just one of those extra little one-ups that you can show off to people. It's an extra award that you have on your belt. So that being the case, let me know what you guys want out of that. We have done the risk tournament in the past and it was kind of just thrown together. The first one was very experimental, trying to figure out what we wanted to do with it. The second one was more structured, but again, kind of just tried it, threw it together, saw what happened. This one is going to be similar, I'm going to be honest with you, because it's been 2 years since we've been able to do it. I say 2 years, a year and a half maybe, since we've been able to do it, but we're trying to do that again. So with this first one being the comeback, of course, we're going to have a lot of slip ups, but I want to see what really is the value there for you guys. I'm hesitant to do like a completely open voice chat, for example, where we could have people come in and those who are playing in the tournament with us could be talking and could be, saying things to each other, but we want to have a real respectful decorum. So if that's the case, we're probably going to have to be really careful about who we select and doing all those things. So if that's something you want to see, where you want to see us actually talk to the people who are in the tournament and have these kind of conversations, let us know. If anybody has a webcam and they can actually connect to us through that, we could do that as well, where we could show the actual like video call section of the Discord where we have the game going on, and then we could have people's cameras up and be able to watch their reactions as they win or lose and as they get closer and closer to the championship round. So I think that's like one of the added nice things we could try and do to boost the clout of the game and to really give extra benefit to those micronations who participate. That way, even if you didn't win the game, you still have so much to play for. You still have this fact that you are connecting with all these other micronations, and your micronation is being shown off on our YouTube channel to 2,500 subscribers. So that's the idea. That's what we're going for. How do we connect more with the community? We have our time stretched thin as it is, but when we can dedicate to doing a live stream, we want it to be a big community event. We want to see how many people we can get hanging out with us, just like you 11 are tonight. So let us know what is important to you. If you're someone who's in our Discord, let us know how we can improve the Discord as well. There's, of course, a ton of stuff that we need to do there. But the more that you guys tell us, the more that we can pass on to our mods, the more that we can do with our development of these community events. The biggest thing we've tried to do in our Discord thus far has been just keep safety as a #1 priority, because we have limited time and we've just kind of set it on the back burner and focused on other things. But again, that Discord server, so important to so many people. So we want to incorporate you guys more directly and show off how much you've impacted our culture. Whitewind says, oh, wow, that is surprising they survived with little to no care for them. Oh, agreed. And again, it's not like they were these big, massive things. Check out the video. They were very silly. Tiffany and I ate them. She was the big discovery person on this, because she actually went and started clearing out some of this area. She picks off one of the little things and tastes it a little bit. And she's like it's oniony. So we have this whole little thing where we each eat one of the little bulbs. And we grew something. It was cool. Aaron says, I wonder how you'll feel when Aeternia feeds not only its citizens for the first time, but also the first foreigner you feed. Agreed. That is a big goal of ours, especially when you think of, okay, well, right now we feel like we're in this advanced era and we're trying to build all of these amazing things. And oh, look at us. We're so powerful. We're doing all of this craziness. But this is still a beginning. We look 5, 10, 15 years down the road, and we're going to say, we thought we knew what trouble was then. We thought we knew what a headache was then. We thought we knew what expensive stuff was then. We had no idea. In the years to come, I would love to be able to start having tourists at Vitae, which is a huge part of connecting that driveway. That's why, every time we get on one of these live streams, just about every time we're in one of our edited videos, I'm somehow bringing up the driveway at Vitae, because it is literally the pathway, the road to our local connections. When people ask, hey, you go around telling everybody you're the Empire of Aeternia and you're doing all this stuff. Let me come see it. Where's it at? Where can I join? What, are you guys just a crazy band of people in the woods? What are you doing? We have the opportunity to invite those people when we have a driveway. We can say, you can come and park and see what we have. It's limited right now, but we're growing every day. It also means that we can go out there more often, to be out there and do more, improve our garden, maybe raise animals out there eventually when we can stay out for significant stints at a time and regularly check in. But all of that being the case, we are now in a situation where we're having to start thinking 2 or 3 or 4 steps ahead, because every time we get into a new year, every time we get into planning all of the things that we're going to be doing, it hinges upon, okay, we need to do this thing first, which means that we're going to do the next thing, which means that we're going to do the next thing. So how do we make the transition between all of those as smooth as possible? How do we get everything else lined up to make sure that that process becomes easier and easier and easier as we go along? That's very abstract, but that's all to say that right now, that what that linchpin is, that thing that's holding everything together, that thing that is so crucial to our next stage of development, the thing that's going to be even more advanced and amazing than this stage, is that driveway. When we get it, we have the opportunity to start thinking about not only residents at Vitae, people living there, but also people who are going to be visiting. And then that's where the garden starts to take on a whole new meaning. This initial crop that we grow, not talking about the couple little tiny half fractional onions that we got, but an actual proper harvest that we get when we can plant for a summer, grow things, and then harvest pounds and pounds and pounds of fruits and vegetables. At that point, we say, hey, we have more than enough to feed ourselves, myself and Tiffany. Then we will be bringing it to our other citizens and saying, hey, we have a couple local citizens. Hey, here you go. Thank you so much for being a part of our community. Going to friends locally. Hey, we brought you some pickles. We brought you some this and that. Thank you so much for being a part of our community, being able to help out our own families, Tiffany's family, my family, and just provide something as a little nice gift. It's not going to take care of those people and feed all of their stuff, but it'll be a weight off. It'll be one less thing that they have to buy, one less thing that they have to worry about. Maybe something that just is a nice treat, something that's made with love and a gift to show that we care about them. So when we do all that, I think you're right, Aaron. That is going to feel incredible. Again, tasting those little fractional onions felt like, you know, hallelujah, one of those moments from a movie. And so getting that and experiencing that through someone else, actually being able to not only see that value for ourselves and be giddy over it, but showing it to someone else and having their eyes light up and say, oh dang, they're doing something. They provided me something of value to me. Not only do they like the things that they're doing and feel that they have value, now I see the value in it directly. I can't deny it. It's placed in front of me. There's an economic benefit to being a part of this now. And that'll be incredible. That's what we're pushing for every single day. So yeah, I think that moment is going to be incredible. Probably 2, 3, 4 times more incredible than going out the other day for the driveway installation and tasting these onions that we didn't know existed. So when we get to that point, it'll be incredible. And I'm sure at that time, I'll be sitting here pacing on a live stream back and forth with you guys like, okay, so we gotta get ready because we're gonna be building a restaurant. That's the next thing. We have our first visitors at Vitae, and we've been doing all of these things, and now we're trying to build this restaurant. We're trying to provide all of these canned goods to these different local restaurants in the area. We're trying to provide fresh organic vegetables to these restaurants in the area. Oh, we're trying to grow these different things and do these different things. And we'll be pacing back and forth trying to figure out how to turn an industry out of that. And that's all going to be incredibly difficult. So we have to start off strong now in thinking about that and in planning this the right way. That was, again, what our entire video that we posted today is about. As well, you guys are helping to make that video more popular. I think we've almost reached 100 views on it before 24 hours has gone by. So that's big, especially for our last 10 videos. So definitely check it out, like it. If you can, watch the full thing because it helps. The algorithm goes, oh snap, especially if you comment. Again, all that stuff. If you click the copy link button to share it, all those tricks, the algorithm eats it up. That all being the case, if you find actual value from that content, the point of it is to show where we're at and to show that those mistakes we made and the way that we planted this year, the way that we did things this year, we're going to try not to repeat that again. Easier said than done. But if we had done it successfully from the very first moment, think about where we would be right now. We would have a bountiful harvest that we had collected probably a month or two ago, October, November, been able to collect that, been able to work on it and say, hey, we've already given out our first handfuls of pickles. We've already gotten our first salads made from it. We've already provided these fresh things for the soup kitchen or whatever local to us, fresh carrots to the soup kitchen or something like that, fresh kale. Very small amounts, very small donations, very small differences, but still nonetheless a difference made. So we could be there this year. We could have already done that and already been 2 steps ahead. Since we didn't, since we struggled, since we had to learn on our own, we're now back at it again. We're going to be hitting 12,024 harder than we've ever hit it before, harder than we've ever hit any year before. And it's going to be a lot. It's going to take a learning curve. It's going to take more mistakes, different mistakes, brand new mistakes for me to show to you guys. And it'll be a lot of fun. I have had more headaches dealing with Aeternia than I can count. But there has never been one where I have felt like it's not an absolute joy to do it. And like it is something that is deeply, deeply passionate inside me to make happen. Especially when we've done videos in the past dealing with talking to others. When we did our Hunt for Citizens video, several months back during the summer, we went out and interviewed people locally in our area to describe to them what it was that we were doing. Some of them had been students from our local university that we had actually interviewed and played games with in a previous video. So they already kind of knew who we were and were excited, but they didn't know the concept of what we were. They were just playing the game with us, being silly with us. And so this was a shift for them, seeing this, very silly guy who had come up and said, hey, you want to, play this little button game with me to challenge me to a fight, to a duel, so to speak. And just having fun with that, to actually sitting down with them and saying, hey, we're this organization. This is what we're doing. We're creating a country. We believe ourselves to be a country, and we're trying to provide for a population. And seeing those people get taken aback and not really understand it. And then, you talk to them more and they kind of get the idea. And some of those people kind of get a glimmer in their eye and say, oh, I think I get it. I really do. I think that should be a thing. Some people being more skeptical and not being sure. That teaches us, that gives us a jumping off point, because previously when we would go out into the community, as we had at the beginning of that video, you ask people, you know about the Empire of Aeternia, you know about micronations, and they full well and full right can say, I have no idea what you're talking about. That sounds insane. That sounds ridiculous. What are you doing? And that's fine. Those people are brand new to the idea. If you're introduced to something brand new for the first time, in almost any circumstance, you're going to feel that way. Your mind's going to be blown. Once it is proven to you, that's an entirely different effect. Right now, we have no way of proving to skeptics that this is going to be completely successful in every way that we have deemed. But we are not at the beginning anymore either. For those people who we have already talked to, which isn't a ton, we haven't canvassed the entire city and made announcements driving down the street with a megaphone and called up every news organization we could, but there are people now in our community who know about us and know what we're trying to do and know what we stand for. And if you asked them, do you know what the Empire of Aeternia is? Do you know who this guy is? And you showed them your phone screen and you showed them an image of our flag or something, they may say, yes, I do. I don't understand what they're doing, or I'm skeptical of what they're doing or whatever. But they know who we are. We have stepped in the right direction. We can now have a second conversation with those people at some point and say, hey, remember what we told you last time? These are kind of the updates. You still may be skeptical, that's fine. But now we've been able to provide a little bit from our garden. Now we've been able to create this dwelling that we stay in on weekends. And you can actually now come and visit us there at Vitae, because we have a driveway installed. So if you really feel that skeptical about it and you feel safe enough to come out and hang out with us, you can learn even more. So that being the case, we are at the precipice of, I think, a lot of big things. Again, even this year, with describing in our video today, all of these different failures that we had, that, again, I really suggest you watch that video. It is something that is, I think, important to a micronationalist to see. I'm just trying to bare my soul as to, this just raw discussion that I'm having. This wasn't a scripted video. This wasn't something that I really thought out beforehand. I just kind of sat in front of the camera and rambled, much in the way that I do on these live streams. But I think I tried to keep myself a little more succinct and really point out what I thought was important. So when we do all of that and we keep moving forward, we learn that this year we weren't amazing. We didn't have home run after home run after home run, but we still did grow. And we grew in very important and critical ways that, had we kept pushing forward, and maybe even if we had succeeded in some of the ways that we had initially tried and attempted, there would have been major cracks and flaws in the way that we go about things, our organization, our scheduling, our resources, all of these things that, if we had succeeded the first time around, we may have thought, oh, we're invincible. We can add even more to our plate. We can do even more. We can stretch ourselves even thinner. We can find new ways to, indebt ourselves in some way or the other, or to claim more of our future goals. And so having this realization that we are well into a lot of different things that we could do, and we're really close to achieving a lot, having this, come to Jesus moment, having this realization, so to speak, of standing there and being out at Vitae several times this year, and not being able to do a ton, feeling very limited, feeling very weighed down, feeling the impact of our limited economy, our limited time, our limited visibility in the community. All of those things hit, and you feel them. You feel the push of them. And so when you do that, you learn, okay, this is where we're at. Realistically, this is where we're at. This is how we can start to navigate around that. These are things that we can do to soften the blow of some of these losses. These are some of the things we can do to improve and prevent them next time. These are some of the things we can do to get extra support so that we learn about future mistakes we may make and try to prevent those future mistakes. Here are all the different experts that we need to connect to. Here are the different micronations that we should connect to try and bolster our resources and, again, get extra information. I like that video. Again, I'm hype about it because it's our most recent video we put out, but I think it's one of the more captivating ones for those of you who are developing your own nations, coming up with your own ideas. Aaron, in particular, I know you're trying to email me about a lot of stuff that you want to talk about, and I'm eager to receive that email when you do send it. But if it deals with micronationalism and developing your own country, I think this is one of those ones that you take a look at some point. And again, all our friends, allies, soon to be allies, hopeful allies, check us out and watch that video. Let us know what you think, especially in the comments. Like, actually, if you guys do drop a comment in that video over there when you watch it, point something out. If you have a criticism of one of the things we did and you say, hey, you didn't forget this, which you also messed up, let us know. If there's some advice you have to fix some of the things that we brought up in the video, tell us that. All of it helps. It does. Real quick, Noble Stan said back. Hey, great to see you, Noble Stan. White Wind said, welcome back, Noble Stan. Pueblo says the Shakar Republic has unfortunately collapsed since we last crossed paths. Uh-oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Pueblo. Can you talk to us a little bit about what happened? Now, again, micronations, a lot of the time, we're talking about governments tonight too, so that ties right in. Micronations that develop republics some of the time have unique difficulties. Democracies in general in micronations, and I know democracies and republics are different systems, but democratic styles of micronations, republics being included in that, normally have a lot of difficulty in micronationalism because unless you already have a lot of resources and a sizable population, or if you're not too concerned with growing and you just, are kind of fine being at a very specific level, it's very hard to do much in a republic starting out. Again, there are micronations who have done it and done it very successfully. So, no shame to that. There is certainly downsides to monarchies and every other type of government. And there are pros to democracies and to republics as well. We've covered that in previous videos, but do you feel like that was the problem? Do you feel like in hindsight you would choose a different governmental style, or do you feel like it was just, the circumstances you were under? I guess let us know. Teach us about what you feel like you learned. And I'd be curious to know if you're still interested in micronationalism, even if you're not, trying to restart another nation or doing this or that. Would you consider joining another nation, potentially becoming a part of its government? If you have this experience in leadership, if you have these things that you've learned from your time developing a nation, that could be invaluable to another one. You could join the government of another micronation and do very, very well by simply advising them and going into a position that they need filled, and really, really helping them to affect change on a scale that they haven't been able to reach. So that may be something to consider. You could become potentially far more famous and successful joining another micronation, helping it to grow, than trying to start one, which is something that we talk about a lot on this channel, but just my 2 cents. Let me know, Pablo. Let me know what happened. Unity said, hi, AP. Hey, Unity, good to see you. Thank you for being here. How is Unity going? New England said, good night, Your Majesty, Emperor AP. Good night, New England. It was good to see you. Thank you for being here. White one says, good night, New England. Cool. New England says, you can sleep well tonight, okay? Thank you so much. I will. I hope you sleep well as well. Noble Stan said good night as well. Hey, very cool. Everybody's wishing New England a good night. Pueblo said, we had a meeting 2 Mondays ago to try and fix some internal disputes, and it led to everyone deciding to go their separate ways. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Pueblo, that is something that sucks about republics. Again, democratic styles of micronationalism in general, it has nothing to do with those styles of governments, period. I mean, those are the same issues that those styles of government have. But in macronations, there are so many people and so many resources that a government manages day to day that there are always spots to be filled. There are always people to raise their voice and take a stand for what they believe in. And so the wheels of government are going to keep churning despite those disagreements. Now, water break for effect, dramatic pause. We are talking about micronations. And when we talk about micronations, we're having to point out the fact that they have very small populations relative to macronations. They have very limited resources relative to macronations. Most do not have, and when I say most, I'm talking 80, 90, 95, 99% or more, do not have stable industries. We are just starting to get very few stable industries, very limited stability. We're actively trying to push on that stability. So even, middle of the road kind of successful micronations still aren't, hitting that mark like they should be. So when you develop a nation and you started off as a republic, there are these issues of everybody coming in, but there not being a ton of resources. So even if you have, let's say 15 people, right, then 10 of them are a part of the government, or 11, to be a tiebreaker or whatever, and you have all this going on, you may be able to do a lot. You may have all these people come together initially under the same ideas, but the more tasks that are assigned, the more people get into different hierarchies of, well, you're ahead of this task force and you're in charge of this one, which means that you're this person's boss, and you're allocating this money here, but this person wanted to allocate their stuff here. This person wanted to use this stuff to build this thing, but this person wanted this thing. This person wanted to create this social media thing, but we feel like we need to save our resources and our time, so we're not going to do that. We're going to do this other thing instead. That will start to cause huge disagreements. Republics, especially with micronations, and democratic forms of governments with micronations as well, one of the difficulties about starting them out is the divisiveness. People have different opinions. People are going to go their separate ways if they can. And when there is this setup that is allowing a lot of freedoms and a lot of accurate representation for a micronation, but giving those keys to power, those important resources and designations to the large group of people, they will pull their weight. They will use that force that they have to be able to get what they want. And with having so limited resources, you're dealing with the fact that in a republic micronation starting out, or a democratic style of micronation starting out, you have a lot more people than resources. So most people are going to be not getting what they want for a long time. That doesn't mean that they can't be well represented. That doesn't mean that that government can't do things to provide for those people and to continue to make it a more and more fair and more valuable system for everybody involved. That should be the goal that we're all striving for. But when you look practically at it, there are going to be a lot of times in which the government has to ask someone, hey, can you work for us? Can you do these things for us? Can you commit to achieving objectives for us that may not be in your first interest, that may not be something that is immediately your idea and you're super excited about? It may just be work, and that's tough. It may just be things that we need to get done, and that sucks. So when people feel like, hey, I was a representative in this micronation and I started out and I did all the things, and I voted and I got outvoted, and then that made me upset. So I got the other people who thought that we should have done that law or that rule or start on that project, and we all got together and said we're leaving. That cripples the nation immediately. Again, it's using that power that they have to cause disruption, which is good for creating a fair system so that people aren't steamrolled and pushed aside in their beliefs, and that dictatorships aren't established. But for a fledgling nation, for one starting out, these democracies and these democratic systems, such as republics, can be very unstable. So you have to have a good group of people who are very comfortable communicating with each other, who know each other fairly well, who are going to be able to put their differences aside, who are going to be able to, properly see the good of the nation over their individual interests. And that's a lot to ask of people who are just joining a thing and trying to figure out their place in it and trying to understand what it is. The older that a micronation gets, the more they're able to establish themselves, the more that it is easy to form those types of governments, I think, because people will go, oh, you're coming into the Republic of Unity, let's say, talking about Unity, who's in the chat right now. They have a republic. Hey, you're coming into the Republic of Unity, but the Republic of Unity is 6 years old, let's say. So when somebody comes in brand new off the street and they're becoming a citizen of the Republic of Unity, there's probably already a hierarchy there. There are probably already goals that are being achieved. There are probably already, political ties and alliances and things that are established internal to that network of parliamentarians, parliament members, or the prime minister, whoever, that make things function. They already have their ideas and they've already agreed on different things that they're doing. So that person who starts new just kind of needs to jump in line and is fine and understanding they're taking on a role that doesn't get them what they want right away. They're going to have to work in the system and they're going to have to figure out how they slowly carve out their bit of power and use that to get others' support and to sway the government to do more things as a republic does. And so that's a little more stable a system because you don't have all of these people right at the beginning, fighting for resources. It's kind of like, if you invite your friends to Christmas dinner, let's say, if you celebrate Christmas or any holiday, you're going to have a big feast with all of your friends. And so you call them up and you say, hey, everybody, come to my house at 10 p.m. and we're going to have this fantastic, super late night feast for some reason. So everybody comes over. If you have a turkey and a ham and all these different sides and all these different breads and all these different appetizers and desserts and all these things spread all over and 8 different kinds of drinks and plenty of cups and plenty of utensils and plenty of napkins and plenty of everything, then everybody's fine, right? They go, they take their little piece, they eat on it, they do other stuff, they talk, they laugh with people, and it's fine. There's plenty. If you call 12 friends over and they come to your house and you say, we're having this late night dinner party, and they get there and there's one roll, there's one little piece of bread smacked on the table, those people, in real life, they're probably not going to do this because it would be super rude. But if they were all very, greedy, eager people to get that, they're all starving, they'd probably start ripping that bread apart. They'd probably start fighting over the bread. And that's immediately going to make a tense situation. It's going to make people upset at each other because they felt like they didn't get enough to eat. They're going to be upset with the leadership because they feel like, oh, well, why did you start this thing if you, didn't have enough resources? I feel like I didn't get what I wanted. And people huff and puff. It's a tough situation. There's not anything anybody can do about that. It's not anybody's fault that you start off with a small amount of resources. It's just the way that it is. So when you develop a micronation that is a republic or some other democratic system to start out, unless you do just have ample resources to give everybody what they want, in which case you can kind of do whatever you want at that point. You're just paying to win. If you're not doing that, then you're going to have to figure out a good strategy to keep people supporting each other. You're going to have to get people who join the government, join the society, to really have a clear understanding about what they're supposed to be doing and how they're going about it, and what how their goals align with the goals of the nation, before giving them that power directly. And that's tough. Again, that's a very undemocratic way to go about a democratic system, or something that's supposed to be about these freedoms and about representation. But that comes at the price of resources. So it's tough. I wish you luck. Hey, fantastic. Thank you, Whitewind, for inviting people to the Discord server. Unity said, I need to get my micronation on the map. Yeah, we would definitely appreciate it. If you haven't already filled out a form for our micronational map, you can do so on our website. It's pretty easy to find there on the homepage of our website, eternianempire.wixsite.com/Imperial Market. It's a long address, but if you type in the Empire of Aeternia on Google, it's the first or second result. And yeah, we have that micronational map where if you don't know, if you have a micronation, you can submit to it and we will update it every once in a while with all the micronations who have applied. We have, I think, a couple hundred at least now on the map. It's getting pretty packed. But that all being the case, it's something that takes us a while to update. So, it may take a month, 2 months for you to see your application go up and actually be applied to the map. There have been people over the last month who were really like, hey, when are you putting my thing up? And because of those people, I actually want to do it relatively soon. So if you're somebody who wants to get your nation on the map, probably drop it now to get it most quickly. Because once the semester starts again, I'll have to put it away for a couple months. But that's a good way to go. Helps to connect you to the community, helps to connect you to us. Whitewind says, hey, AP, for the Minecraft server, could it be open VC with Flans mod? That's a great question. King Carminate is the person who is over it. If Flans mod is the one that has like tanks and planes and all that kind of stuff, there's some mod that he has in there that allows for like all this like complex city building and these like modern tanks and vehicles and guns and all this sorts of stuff that are available for it. So he has that set up. He's been primarily in control of developing and setting up what our Minecraft server will be. But that being the case, I am super excited to see how it turns out. I think in the next couple months, they're supposed to get some additional server space. And so that's when we'll be officially launching it. You're saying it should be open voice chat. We will see, because while normally, yes, we will do open voice chat. And when we do the live streams, we'll invite people to do voice chat and hang out with us like we've done on previous Minecraft streams in years past. A lot of the time, we end up with a situation where somebody will come on and spew the worst, most vile hatred you have ever heard in your entire life. I mean, just racist, sexist, homophobic, just everything they can say to try and get under people's skin. And they say it and they run out. So, you have this voice chat that gets blown up and the stream goes weird and people are offended, people are upset, understandably. And then the person dips and then, we can't really do anything. So, we will try it and we'll see how it goes, but we have to be really careful about stuff like that, especially as we try to go toward monetization. So eventually we may have to restrict things and say, oh, it's not open voice chat anymore. It's open voice chat by invite only. But we will see. We'll see how it works out. Lightwind says, for fun micronational conflicts in Minecraft, good series from it. Oh, yes, absolutely. I think as we get access to the Minecraft server, that's going to be incorporated into the channel a lot more, which I think, again, will go more into the Discord and really connect us. I think that's something that's going to be quite interesting as well, because as the micronational map fills out more and more, we are going to see more territory overlaps and disputes. We're going to see, again, more connections with trade and different micronations who are in close proximity dealing with each other. So when they have disagreements, when they have online beef, when they have territory disputes, when they want to haggle in their trade to try and get a little more for their side or the other side or whatever, but they can't quite come to an agreement. Yeah, they could settle it in our Minecraft server, just like we've done with the micronational risk tournaments in the past. We could have people settle it in the Minecraft server. We could have, again, great content, just like you said, and be able to provide that as a service for people. I think that'll become an extension of our community even further. We've, again, had that community build a little bit, by just playing on a Minecraft server and having people jump in years past. This, I think, is going to take it to a whole new level where we don't have to be around for people to be building and making and discovering new things in the server, and we'll be able to check in on the progress. One week we may go out there and it's barren, and the next week we go out there and there's 25 cities and 13 different, nations that are fighting for control over the map and all these different things. So we'll have to see how it goes. But yes, that is a great point, Whitewind. Real quick, my phone is probably about to die. Well, it's at 11%. So we will keep going for a few more minutes, and then I'll probably have to call it. Let's say 10, 15 more minutes. But thank you guys for being here. You guys are helping us to reach that 10 watch time hours. We may hit it as of this video. I'll have to see once we end it. But you guys jumping us up to, I think, 14 viewers at the peak is incredible. If we can keep doing that over and over and over and over again for new streams that we have, especially when we start getting into the Micronational Risk Tournament and all these other things, we will be in big time for approaching 3,000 watch time hours and then 4,000 watch time hours and finally getting YouTube to pay us for all the ads they run on our videos. We consider ourselves an independent nation, but we can't even get YouTube off our backs. Goodness. So you guys can help us to make that push and to give us the clout to say, hey, we may be micronations, we may be small, but you can't push us around, YouTube. We're going to get our money from you, YouTube, us and the rest of our micronational friends. So when we get through that barrier, you guys get in line. You guys start getting monetization too, and we'll keep rolling forward and representing the community and showing that we have something to offer. Strata says, I saw a Roblox avatar item where it said snow fort with a snow fort and a little Roblox flag, and someone in the comments was like, it's cute until you commit war crimes in it. Goodness, that sounds like it sums up micronations to a T. There are some micronations that look, cute and wonderful and everything and cool, and some are, and they just stay that way. And some are, these really eager upstarts, and then have really dark, weird, like backgrounds and or have really nefarious reasons for existing and stuff. It's creepy once you start to get into some of the rabbit hole and the lore of certain micronations. So be careful out there, guys. Definitely. But that's a cool point. Flores. No, that's Strata. My bad. That's a good point, Strata. White One's laughing. Unity said, and our time-based project is coming a long way since ChatGPT. Hey, very cool. What time-based project? Flores says, AFK for a couple seconds. Okay, back. Hey, thank you for hanging out with us, Flores. It means a lot. Also, how's the gaming channel going? White Wind says, oh, my time flies. That seems like just last week. Oh, for sure. Hey, Todd joined and said, what is this? Is this legal versus lawful, private versus public jurisdictions, or something like that? Civics? Hey, good to see you, Todd. So to answer your question, if you're still in the chat, we are a micronation. We are the Empire of Aeternia. If you haven't heard of micronations, they are self-declared nations that are unrecognized by the larger international community. So we are a group of people in the territorial United States who have decided that we believe we are a part of a unique, separate nation. Now, that doesn't mean we're claiming a part of the U.S. and that we're taking territory away from the U.S., but we are rather trying to build our identity as a part of a separate culture, as a part of a separate nation that is trying to become more and more self-reliant. And we are declaring that we view ourselves as independent and would like to further the cause of getting recognition from other nations to view us as independent. So that starts with building up homes for people and providing more for our population so that we can say, hey, not only do we consider ourselves a nation, but we're actually feeding and housing and clothing and taking care of all of these people, which is more than what the United States government does for us. We're doing these things for free for these people. We are, that's in the rights of these people in Aeternia to get that. And so while we can't start off doing that, that's what we will build to. That's something to show the effect of us trying to prove our valid interest in developing a nation. As we keep going, we want to develop larger industries to make more money, to provide for those people, to provide for those services we offer, but as well to be able to continue to push for things like lawyers to be able to advocate on our behalf as a party who self-identifies as a nation, and as well trying to build and develop projects that allow us to work and develop outside of the United States territory to develop our own territory, whether that be at sea, whether that be in space. That may be long, long after I'm dead as the leader of Aeternia and it's passed on to someone else. But this allows us to build a self-sufficient community. This allows people who are homeless, people who are, feeling like they've been abandoned or feel invisible by the United States or any country in the world, to have something that they can work toward, something that they can develop as a citizen in, something they can participate in the government of, and something that they feel is a worthy investment that will pay them back throughout their life. So that being the case, one of our newer attempted slogans here in Aeternia is unite the invisible, achieve the impossible. And that kind of summarizes what we're trying to do. We're trying to take all of these people who feel invisible, feel rejected, feel left out of their nations, feel underrepresented in their nations. We're trying to unite those invisible to achieve the impossible. We are trying to do that to be able to push forward into all of these ideas of providing these things for people, having people's lives not solely focused around a 9-to-5 job that they don't like and that barely pays their bills and they're worried won't be able to supply their kids' education and all these kinds of things. Again, from today's standpoint, from where I am in this moment, that seems pie in the sky to be able to offer all that. That seems like a ridiculous pipe dream. But over the years of being able to develop, it becomes more and more realistic. We're able to offer a larger and larger section of those things that we're interested in offering. For example, we've been going for 7 years as of right now, a little over 7 years now. We were 7 years back in August. And as of a year ago, we purchased our first territory, the capital territory of Vitae. It is a piece of property that we own outright. We don't pay a mortgage on it. We pay the taxes on it, but that's about it. And we are developing it for the explicit purpose of myself and my family living on that property and developing that property to feed us, to supply our electricity and our water and all of those things, and as well to supply those for other people, to start building houses there to provide for those people. Now, this is a piece of property in particular that's unique because it's pretty unregulated. It's not zoned residential or anything like that. It's zoned agriculturally here, which is kind of a mixed-use property. But as well, this particular property does not rely on, and in fact does not have access to government utilities. So there is no water, sewage, things like that. We have to pay for our own well to be dug. We have to pay for our own septic system. We have to, we do have the ability to connect to local electrical utilities. So we can start off doing that, but eventually we would like to become self-sufficient in making our own electricity through solar panels, through wind harvesting technology, through lots of different means. And we're trying to do all of that as quickly as we possibly can. Again, we've been going for 7 years and we've just gotten to land. So we're kind of starting fresh, even though we've been going for a long time. But now we're starting to spread into our local community and talk to people and trying to grow a garden so that we can provide food for people to show a little bit of value. We're doing all these things to, again, bring together that community and to further validate our claims, to actually provide some real substance, some real value to people's lives that they aren't getting from their local community. We want people to feel connected to us. We want people to feel like they belong. We want people to feel like they have a place to go when they feel like nobody else can help them. And so that's not accomplished in a day, but it's who we are and it's what we believe in. So that being the case, that's a great question, Todd. Thank you so much for being here. And if you can, subscribe to us, like the video if you find it interesting. Definitely go check out our previous videos because we talk a lot about who we are and what we're trying to do. And we even have videos where we interview people locally and see what they think about this crazy idea. But my phone is about to die. It's on 5%. So I'm going to have to go in just a second. I want to try to read through everything. The experimentalist joined in and said, hello, how's it going? Great to see you, experimentalist. If you guys can subscribe, you'd help us to get to 2,500 subscribers, because right now we're like 11 away from it or 10 away from it or something. And that's huge for a micronation. Most micronations don't have 2,000 subscribers. So it would help a ton. White Wind, good to see you. White Wind said, even without a script, you kept on track, and you did indeed inform us in the way you thought it needed to be brought to us. That is a good ability to have as a leader. Thank you so much, White Wind. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody being here for the stream. It's probably going to just die. So real quick, let me keep reading for a second. Does Aeternia have a research division? With myself being in a master's in physics in optics right now, and my girlfriend Tiffany being in her PhD, we're both kind of researchers, even though we don't have an official research division. We're always doing research to develop things technologically for Aeternia. But I appreciate you guys. Can't wait to see you again. Aaron, email me when you get a chance. I'm excited to talk to you. I'm excited to hear about things. Everybody's jumping in. Oh my goodness. I will have to talk to you guys next time. I'm so behind in the chat. But thank you guys for hanging out. Twin Town, great to see you. Thank you for being here. Let me see. Thank you all, and Aeternia forever. I'll see you guys later. I wish I could stay more. My phone's literally dying right now. Bye, everybody. Bye, Aeternia forever. Unite the invisible, achieve the impossible. Hey, see you guys.